How to have financial boundaries as a wealthy woman. This is a topic that's super near and dear to my heart because this is wisdom and lesson that's been hard earned over 44 years, not only of just my life, but honestly, these are lessons also learned from my parents' life. My parents did not have a lot of financial boundaries with friends and family, and I saw what that looked like growing up, and I also saw how that impacted me as their child and what kind of scarcity and fear it brought and uncertainty in my life it brought. And so this was really important to me to have financial boundaries. However, I was almost like raised and conditioned and groomed not to have any. So to give you an example, like when I was growing up to immigrant parents, whatever they made, if someone else needed it, they would just send it to them and give it without like thinking through if like we had enough. And so a lot of times like my parents would work really hard and make money, and then if their relatives needed it, they would send it back home, and like we wouldn't have enough money for food, or we like barely ever had furniture in our house when I was growing up. And they would, if someone needed a place to live and that person was from their country, they would like bring that person to our like tiny 1-bedroom apartment with the 5 of us. And then I was like sexually molested in my childhood. So there, I like, when I say this topic is important to me, it's really, really important to me. And so as I started making money, I was like 16, 17 years old when I had my first job. When my parents would run out of money to send to their relatives, they would ask me to do that. And I started doing that without even thinking, like, is this the best thing to do? And I consider myself a very generous and abundant person. However, what I learned from like this giving, like being shamed and guilted into giving, that, oh, we have more than them and all this stuff, even though when I would go back home, I would see like these people had maids in their home cleaning for them, right? So I'm like, wait a minute, like I barely get to see my parents, like I'm going through bullying and abuse in my home. How do they, like, you know, they look happy, like they look content. So like I grew up kind of having mixed feelings about charity, and I had to do a lot of inner work around this. So my personal values are what dictate my financial boundaries. I love being a generous, abundant, giving person. However, here's a big value that I have that I'm mindful of, and I filter things through this. My value is that I will never spend, save, or earn money in a way that doesn't feel good to me. And when I say, like, this is not just a general statement. So for example, if I walk into a store to buy something that I really need or desire, but the salesperson or the vibe in the store, they're behaving in a certain way that doesn't feel good to me, I won't buy from them. Every time I get ready to put in my credit card numbers, whether it's an online store or anywhere, I get into a really amazing state before I make that purchase. I'm the same way when I sell my courses and my books and everything. Like everything has to be pristine and clean and filtered through this boundary of like this value, I would say, of like everything. Money has to feel good. And I could talk and talk and talk about this. If you guys want the whole thing, I have a whole entire money course that just has like my whole like 4 decades of gold in it, okay? I'll link it in the description box for you guys. And so through making a lot of mistakes with the money, through like not having these personal values set, what was happening is that I was spending in a way and saving and investing in a way and giving in a way that either was automated or was laced in guilt and shame, which goes against my personal values. Because again, I will not give money, earn money, spend money, invest money in a way that doesn't feel good to me. What this personal value does is it automates most decisions. So for example, if someone reaches out to me and says, you should give to this GoFundMe, and I don't know that person, I don't know what they're gonna use the money for, something doesn't feel good to me, no one can guilt me or shame me into do it, because that goes against my personal values. If I wasn't automated in this decision, when I wasn't, I should say, because there was a time in my life, I always felt like that generational curse of having to give at your own expense kept showing up in a really ugly way in my life. And I realized that despite all the money my parents made, like they didn't have anything to show for it at the end of life. And actually none of those people that they like helped even respected them. They're like, they still complained about, oh, you didn't do enough for me, right? So I decided that I was not gonna be like them, that I didn't want my children to be kind of in this environment of toxic giving, you know, in this environment of, it doesn't matter if this hurts you, it doesn't matter if this takes away from you, we're just gonna keep giving. Like that does not feel good to me. And so I learned to be able to say no with an open heart, because it was a personal value. It's like an identity. There was no guilt or shame around it. So an example of this is like, let's say that your identity is that you are not a smoker, like you don't smoke, okay? If that's your identity, if that goes, it's like goes against your personal values to smoke, it's your identity that you are not a smoker, there's nothing anyone can do to convince you to smoke. There's no guilt or shame or anything that anyone can do, because you are not a smoker, right? But when we don't know, if you're like, well, I don't know if I'm a smoker or not, like I don't, like sometimes I smoke and sometimes I don't smoke, like if you don't have like clear parameters around those things, then there is room for negotiation, and people can feel that in your energy, and you're like, no, I'm not gonna smoke today. They're gonna say, well, you did yesterday, or you did, you know, you do smoke sometimes. There's like room for negotiation when you're not certain, when you have not decided who you are and what you stand for and what your personal boundaries are. So this is really important, because when I got really certain on how I was gonna give, how I was gonna feel when I give, what were the containers and parameters around that giving, how I was gonna spend money, how I was gonna feel when I'm spending money, how I'm going to feel when I'm earning money, it becomes really easy. It's such an identity thing. And when someone tries to convince you, guilt you, shame you, any otherwise, it's like, oh, I don't smoke. No, thank you. I don't do that. Right? It just, there's no emotion in it, because it's already been decided. No one can negotiate. In fact, there's like so many things you can do when someone is trying to, where you can meta update them. Okay, so if someone was trying to convince me to smoke, I'd probably end up convincing them to stop, because I'm so certain in what I believe, and those are my personal values, and I'm not open, like my field, my energetic field is not available to be convinced otherwise. This can really be said about most boundaries. On my other channel, The Universe Grew, I've done a lot of content over the years on boundaries, because this was a lot of inner work I've had to do on this topic. Like I mentioned with my childhood, right? There was a lot of boundary work. And in the beginning, when I thought boundaries were about other people, what they were asking and how they were so rude and how they were infringing on my boundaries, I wasn't getting anywhere, okay? I wasn't getting anywhere fast. And so when I flipped the switch in that, what if boundaries are all about me? What if boundaries are energetic decisions? What if all boundaries become energetic decisions? Oh my God, my entire world changed. My entire world changed. And it was the missing key. So for me, boundaries aren't sit someone down and explain something to them. Like I cannot even imagine doing that. Okay, boundaries aren't tell this person XYZ. Like it's not about another human being. Like all my boundaries are about me. What am I available for? What am I not available for? And how people interact with me is just informing me where there's a leak in my energetic container, where I'm not rock solid, where I'm not like absolutely certain. And because of this, I've removed emotion out of it, and it's like, okay, where do I need to like airtight or like, you know, yeah, tighten my boundaries? Where internally, where is like there an energetic leak? This one thing, I'm telling you, like this one thing has earned me millions. This one thing has completely revolutionized my life. When I have clients and students come in, they say, oh, like, you know, my parents want this from me, or my friend says this, or this is, it's not about anyone. It's about you. I used to attract those kind of things too in my life. That was part of my lesson on this planet, was to overcome this. It was a generational curse I've had to break. However, I do not ever receive those kind of situations anymore because I'm like 110% not available for them. And so I can have empathy for people if you're still like, getting those kind of scenarios. But a lot of times those people are not always willing to learn that it is about you. I know it can be so harsh to hear, right? Like my clients get this, right? I'm able to coach them through it. But that's why the average public will never understand this. They much rather blame the thing on the other person, which means you're giving your power to another human being. And as the powerhouse of a woman that I am and my clients are, we don't hand our power to other people. We just don't. So because I'm not available to be told where I can spend my money, how I should spend my money, who I should give to, who I shouldn't give to, those conversations just don't even come into my field. Like that would be a joke to me. Okay, that would be a joke. Like, excuse me, like you're gonna tell me where I should donate my money and give my money? Like energetically, like I don't even think anyone would have the guts to be able to do that with me, right? So that's where I want you to get to. Those are financial boundaries. It's not like how you can phrase your no, it's that how can you own your own no inside of you? How can it be such a strong and powerful boundary inside of you that you don't even have to worry about how you're going to say the no, right? Whether you're going to handwrite it or text it or whatever. And so these are the things, the power tools that I teach you inside of my courses and my intensives and my work. If you're ready, there's links in the description box. In fact, tomorrow on Tuesday, I'm starting my latest course. It's called Velocity, Momentum, and Speed, where impatience is your superpower. And we're going to be talking about speed, momentum, velocity as related to your life, your relationships, money, sales, business, career. Like I believe in creating the full powerhouse woman. So it's not just about applying this to one area of your life. It's like up-leveling your entire lifestyle, your entire wealth, your entire love life. And so if you want to be with me for 9 live sessions, it's going to be 7 trainings, and then we're going to have 2 Q&As going deep into the energetics and physics of time and velocity. I'll see you in there. Link is in the description box. Bye.